Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Blender tutorial for environmental graphic design class. So first step, we are going to introduce you to how to install Blender on your device. First, here what you need to go through is this website, which is blender.org. This is a Blender official website. On here, when you click on the download button, you can see that if you use a Windows device, you can click this button and it will install the installer on your PC, and you can follow the instruction on the installer, and Blender should appear on your device. For someone who use Mac device, for someone who use the old one, which is the Intel CPU, you are going to pick this option, which is Mac OS Intel. But for someone who use the newest device such as Apple M1 or Apple M2, you are going to use this option, which is macOS Apple Silicon. So pick the choice that you are prefers, and after you finish installing, we are going to begin our lesson. So let's start with the first part, which is the setup part. This is a very important process because everyone needs to set up their device to match their usage. So to begin, you can click on the hit anywhere on your screen. For me, I will click right here. The first setup page it will be automatically disappears. What you need to go through next is the Edit tab and on the Preference page. On here's what you need to do for someone who use laptop. I recommend you to enable these two functions, which is emulate 3-button mouse. It will emulate 3-button mouse on your numpad, and also enable emulate numpad. This one it will emulate numpad by using the number button on your keyboard. These things are very important for Blender because in Blender we are going to use a lot of hotkeys, a lot of shortcuts to using tools. So enable these two functions is will be very essential for someone who use laptop. For the next thing is we are going to set up the render device for our rendering process. You can go to this page, which is system page. For the Windows user, we going to have a lot of options to choose. For me, I would recommend you to pick the OptiX one. This is the best one for the rendering that I have tried before. What you need to do next is pick the device that you are going to use it for rendering. For me, I am going to use my graphic card, which is GeForce RTX 2060 Super. Someone may want to use their CPU to accelerate the rendering process, but I am not recommend that because it will freeze your computer sometimes, so I am going to leave it empty. For someone who is using Mac, you will see that on this page it will have the metal option. Pick metal, and on here you are going to choose to use the GPU of M1 device. After you finish all the setup, next is I'm going to introduce you to the basic control of Blender. On the left side, this is the toolbars. On this toolbar, the important tool that we are frequently use is will be the selection tools, which is this one. When you drag cover anything on the screen, it will select the thing is cover, like in any Adobe software that you are using. When you pick any object, you can pick the object by click on it. Also, left click on it, left click on it, and it will be highlight in orange color. And when you pick the object, you can move it around, with this tool, which is move tool. When you pick, when you click on the arrow, it will be snap on the axis of the arrow. This one it will be y-axis, x-axis, and z-axis. Okay, and the next two on the control bar on the tools bar, it will be the rotate tool, and this one will be scale tool. But honestly, you are not going to frequently using to form the tools bar. I am going to introduce the hotkey to you, and it will be more convenient than clicking thing on the toolbars and going back and forth. It's consume too much time. Using the hotkey is the best solution for controlling in Blender. So the next thing that I am going to introduce you is will be the control panels. The control panels is will be on your left side, on your right side. On this control panel, it will have a lot of function. It will have for vendors, output, render and output. These two functions working together. Render is will be where you set up your render engine, your color, the ways your device calculating the ways you render things on your screen. The output is where you want your outcome to be rendered at, or in here you can setting the resolution of the image that you are going to render. For the default, they give us 1080p, which is a normal resolution, and 24 fps. On this page, it will be the view layers. For the basic use, you are not going to interact on anything on this one. But for someone who are going to use the advanced feature of the Blender, like they doing the virtual effect, they are going to use this function very often. And here the scenes, again, you are not going to use that also because for the environmental graphic, you are not going to have to set up the world, the gravity for simulation. And for this tab on this globe icon, this one it will be the world setting. This one you will use it for the lighting setting because as you can see, we have the color here, which is the color of the world. The gray color you see on your screen right now is the color of the world. Now the value is 1. And if you move it, decrease it to 0, it will change the color of the world to be the black color. On this one, you cannot see. Here you can see it. The world will change into black color. When this one, it will be gray color. This one is collision setting. You are not going to use that often again because you use only basic function. This one also for advanced usage, you can skip that. This one, the modifiers. The modifier page is where you picking the modifier for the object, which we'll introduce later. It's the essential tool because you can use it for a lot of things such as generate more details on your object, to deform your object. You will learn it through the lesson, what you can use from it. This one, the particle, again, is for something advanced you are not going to use for EGD. You can skip that. This one is simulation tab. You can skip that. This one, object constraint. We are going to talk about that after we talk about how to render the image. So we are going to skip that. Vertex, again, is the S1 function. You can skip that. Okay, for this one, it will be material tab. we will talk about it later, is where you set up the color of your object, the texture, the way your object behaves, or to represent the real world object. Okay, next is I'm going to introduce you to the property tab. So let's select your first cube, your default cube in the middle of the screen, and press N. And when you press N, you can see that it will shows this function. This function is the transform function. As you can see that the object are at the origin point of the world, which is at 0x, 0y, 0z. When you adding any numbers into this box, such as you add 2 on the y box, you can see that your object will move away from y-axis for 2 meters. And if you add it for x, like 5, it will move on y 2 meter and move back on x-axis 5 meter. And when we drag, and when we click on X and drag it over Y and type 0, the object will go back to the world origin. As you can see, when you click and drag, you can select which block you want to adjust or want to type on. So you can edit 3 blocks at the same time by dragging on it and type 5. It will adding 5 to every axis. Okay, so go next for the rotation. It will be the same for the control. So example, if you type 30 on the y-axis, the object will turn for 30 degrees. On x, turn for 30 degrees. Add on y, it will turn x axis for 30 and turns on y for 60 degrees. Drag over, type 0, reset to the origin. For the scales is the size of the object, the original size of the object that you add into the scene. This is a default cube. It's add automatically into the scenes. We haven't alternate any dimension because we reset everything. So as you can see, it stay at 1. But if we increase the size of the box by pressing S, which is scales, S means scale, press S and drag your mouse, you can see that the object is increasing in size and also is increasing in scale. If you click around here, you can see that the scale is increased to 7, which means that this box is larger than the original size for 7 times. And if you drag and type 1, it will reset to the original size. So what is the original size? You can see on the dimension part. On the dimension part, you can see that our original size of the box is 2 meter, 2 times 2 times 2, 2 times 2 times 2 meter. It is a very large box. It's higher than everyone here in the classroom. Yeah, that is the original size of the box. Okay, next one it will be tools. This one you are not going to use that. You can skip that. But if you want to know, I will introduce you a bit to that. For this one, you are not going to use that very often. Usually you just use this one. Like this one is the best option for selection, in my opinion. I only use this one. And for these three boxes, if you click on the origin, as you can see, it says transform effect only origin. When you move the object, such as you click on this square box, you can see that it has X, Y, Z axis appear on it. If you press G, which is grab, you can see that you will only moving the origin point of the object, which is this yellow dot. This yellow dot is you can say that it is the center of the object. So when the center moves to here, when you transform the object in any ways, okay, for example, you transform by rotating it. Rotate shortcuts it will be R, pressing R, and you can see that it's rotate around the center point, which is this origin point. Okay, so let's reset the origin point to the original place by pressing Ctrl C, which is undo. Okay, so the next page it will be view. This one you are not gonna adjust anything here because we are going to focus on the modeling first. Okay, and that's it for the main screen. So next one is will be the mode of the Blender. As you can see on the top of your screen right now. Oh, let's introduce you to this one first. I forgot. This is which is the scenes collection on the right hand side. In here you can see that it's a scene collection and the first collection here. The first you can say that it's like the folder in Photoshop. Yeah, it's similar to that. Let's say this is the first folder. On the first folder, we have the camera which is here, the light which is here, and the cube. This one is behave like the layer panel in Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. I think this is the most easiest way to explain what is the collection tab. Okay, so the next part is the mode in Blender. The most often mode that you are going to use for this purpose, which is environmental graphic design, it will be modeling. On the modeling mode, what you can do is you can alternate the object in detail, such as you can inset the object, you can extrude the object, you can grab the object. I will introduce you later about how to do that and what is the hotkey. We are going to go through the modes first. The next mode that you are going to use very often will be the shading mode. On here, you can preview the material of your object. If you change the color, it will appear. You change the roughness, it will appear. You are going to use this one when you finish modeling and you want to add the color, add the texture to your objects. And the last one, which I think you will use it a bit often, but someone might not need to use it. It will be the compositing page. On this page, it is where you can composite your work. I would say it's like Photoshop or refining your image. Like you taking a picture with your camera and you take it into Lightroom to refine the light, define the color. This page it has the same purpose as you editing the photo. We are going to talk about it later when we learning about this program. And that's it for the mode and function of the Blender. Okay, so after we learn about the basic function, of the Blender, what are we going to do next, which is it will be installing our essential plugin to facilitate our workflow. So let's go to the preference page, and what you are going to go through is will be get extension. On this one, on this page, you can install the extension into the Blender. You have the choice of the install method on this drop-down menu, which is white repositories. When you click on it, you can see that the source of the plugin is from the website of the Blender, from your user default, and from your system. This plugin that appears on this page, you can install any plugin into the Blender. If you think it is very important or it is essential for your workflow, you can learn and try any plugin on the internet. There are a lot of people trying this thing and teaching you. But for our project, I would recommend you to install this plugin. The first one will be Loop Tools. The Loop Tools will be this one. You can type Loop Tools or you can type just Loop. It will appear. What you need to do is you will have to press install button if you haven't installed it before. But for me, I have already installed it. This one will help you edit the object in the complex way, but it will make the complex task easier because it has the choice that it will automatically correct the structure for you. And when you try it, you like it. The next tool that I am going to recommend to you will be Node Wrangler. I think for this one, it will be already in the add-on page, which is the already installed plugin on Blender. Because this one is very important and many users in the community use it, so I think, yeah, Blender already installed it for you. What you need to do is just click on the box of the Node Wrangler plugin, and it will be automatically installed on your device. And lastly, it will be plugin for measuring, which is very important for environmental graphic design. This one we call it measure its plugin. It will be this one. Click install button here, and it will install on your system as the install button disappears. And that's it for the plugin installation. What you need is Loop 2, measure it, and Node Wrangler right here. After we have installed plugin, let's begin with our first lesson, which is the object manipulation. Okay, for object manipulation, we are going to start with the first visual that every 3D artist do, which is delete the default cube. So how you are going to delete the object in Blender? You can do it by press left click button on the object that you want to remove, which is this default square. And then you press X button, and it will appear the function to delete the object. You can choose delete. The other ways is If you have the delete button on your keyboard, you can click the object and press delete button. The object will immediately disappear from your scenes. So let's add the object into your scene. So how you are going to add the object? We are going to use add function. For someone who are lazy to remember the hotkey, they will just go to add here, go to mesh, go to cube, and it's appear. But for us, it's too slow, it's time consuming. We use the shortcut, which is Shift A, as you can see, Shift A, and it appears. You just click cube, it's fast. As you can see, it's more convenient. Like, okay, now you have cube, you want a sphere, you click sphere, it appears here. You want a cone, you click, it appears here. By just press Shift and A. It's more convenient than drag your mouse here, go add the object. So remember this hotkey. Shift A means add. So after you add your object, you will want to scale your object to match the size of the thing you want to make in Blender. To do that, you click at the object you want to scale, press S. It will be scales. S means scale, it's simple, it's scale. And for grab, you can press G. You can grab the object in the scenes along on any surface of the scenes. If you want to move object on the specific axis, you can do that by pressing D. You are grabbing the object now, and then you press X to snap on X axis. You press Y, snap on Y axis. You press C, it will snap on Z axis. It can do You can do this as same as in the scale function that we used before, which is S, and then you press X, it will scale along X axis. Scales Y, it will scale along Y axis. But in case if you don't want to apply the scale that you made, like you scale Y for this length and you think it's it's too long, I don't want it anymore. Usually when you want to confirm the transformation, you click left click. But if you want to cancel it, you can cancel it by pressing right right click, like here, right right click. Okay. And when you press right click, it will be cancel the transformation like this. Again, cancel, again, cancel. This is how you cancel it. And the next is you have square in your scene right now and you want the other square, but we are not going to use the adding function, but instead we are going to use duplicate function. To do that, you click on the object you want to duplicate and you press Shift D. It will duplicate the object into the second one. You can duplicate it again and again and again and again and again until you feel it's enough. And the next thing for object manipulating is will be these two, which is very important for modeling process. We call it proportional editing. Okay, let's let me demonstrate it for you. The way that we are going to use these two, we will use it in the modeling mode that we have introduced you in the last part. You can go to that mode by click here, but Blender knows that every user are going to edit their model, so they have the convenient shortcut, which is tab button. You will immediately lead to the modeling mode here. In the modeling mode here, you can manipulate the object in the more in details way, I would say that. So what you can do in this mode, as you can see on this left side of the panel, they have a lot of options for you. Let's go to this tab first. On the top, you can see that there are three icons, which is this one that look like a dot, this one that look like a tower, that one, and this one that look like a paper or a plane. This one, we call it the vertex selection. You can see that on the object we have this black dot. This black dot we call it vertex. When you use vertex selection, you will select this vertex. If you want to select the multiple vertex, you will press Shift button and click the next vertex that you want to select, like this. The next one will be the edge selection. Edge selection is just like the name that it says on the function. As you can see on the object, we have this black line run through the object. When we click on it, it will appear in white color. It means that you select the edge of the object. If you want to select the multiple edge, again, you press Shift button and click, click, click. Here you can see you select the multiple edge. And the next function will be the face select function. Is like what the name already said. As you can see, we have a cube in front of us. The cube have 6 sides, so you have 6 sides to select here. You can select side by left click on it, and if you want to select multiple sides, you can just press Shift again and do that like this. Okay, that's for the selection. You can switch between mode easily by using hotkey by pressing 1, 2, and 3 on your keyboard. 1 will be for vertex selection, 2 for edge selection, and 3 is for face selection. But for someone who are using the laptop and using the simulate numpad function, you might have some difficulty because the numbers on your keyboard, if you overlap with the shortcut on the numpad, which is the shortcut to adjust the view. Like when you press 1 on the numpad, it will lead you here. Someone who use the simulate numpad function they will have this difficulty. There are no way for someone who use emulate numpad to be able to use the 1, 2, 3 for switching between the selection function. So I would say I recommend you to use your keyboard if you have the desktop at home, or if you don't have the numpad with you, you have to click manually by your mouse. Okay, let's close the emulate numpad function. So next is the manipulation in detail. As you can see on this tab, we have here, which is extrude region. This one you can extrude the face of the object like this. You can use this by shortcut by pressing E, which means extrude, and the object will extrude along the cursor. The next one is will be inset face. Inset face, it will inset the face just like the the names is tell you. You can also access it by using the hotkey, which is I for inset. This one is will be bevel. Bevel is works as it says, it's bevel the edge, it smooth the edge by as we drag it, as you can see. More bevel, more bevel, more bevel, and now it's going wrong. Here, let's go back. You can access it by using hotkey, also by pressing B, which is Control B, which is bevel. This one you use Control B for bevel. And the next tool on the editing is will be loop cut tool. When you press it and you hover your mouse around your object, you can see this highlight yellow line run through your object. Is as same as the word say, is loop cut. So it means it's cut your object by loop. When you press left click, it means you confirm your loop cut, and the cut is will be cut to your object, allow the loop, just like the name says. You can also access this function by using hotkey, also by press Ctrl R, and you can use it just like what you use on the control panel. And I think that's it for the essential tool that you are going to use for environmental graphic design in terms of the detail modeling. So let's give you some example of how you can use it on the different shape. Now we try it on square. Let's try it on the another shape, such as sphere, by pressing Shift A and add sphere to your scene, which is here. When you adding sphere, you can see that you have the option on the bottom left side. Here it says add UV sphere. When you click on it, you can see that you have the function to select the segment of the sphere. It means that you select the detail of your sphere. Right now it has 32 segments right here. 32 segments. Here, let me call it back. Because when you deselect your object, this page will disappear and it will never come back except you adding the new object again. That is the important concern that you have to keep in mind when you're using Blender. So let's adjust the segment. If we lower the segment, you can see that we lessen the details of this sphere. And for the range and for the ring, in the ring around the object, as you can see now, we have the ring go through the object like this. Now we have 16 rings, and if we lower the numbers, we can see that the ring is lower the details. And the radius is which will be the radius of this UV sphere. Okay, let's get into the edit mode. Click the sphere, click tab. Here you can see that you can edit this sphere in detail now. You can extrude it by pressing E. You can make something like this. You can insert the face by pressing I like this. You can select the edge by pressing 2 like this. We select the edge here, and here. We can select the edge like this in the faster ways by pressing alternate button. It will select the loop of the line, which is this loop. If we click on this edge, as you can see, we select all the loop here, and we can scale it to changing the size of the square face. We can extrude it, yeah, like this. We can grab it by pressing G. We can scale it again. Yeah, that's how the editing mode works. Always remember the hotkey. Grab G, scale S, extrude is will be E. Inset is I, and yeah, that's what's important for that's what important hotkey that you have to remember. Okay, now let's introduce you to the next tool for this modeling basic. It will be the proportional editing tools. Now we have this square. What we are going to do is we are going to add the detail into this square by using loop cut tool. We press Ctrl R, and you can see that the loop cut tools appear on your screen. When you scroll your mouse up, it will add more segment of the loop cut into your object. So let's press left click. And when you press left click, you can move the loop around to pick the place that you want to place it on your object. But for our case, we want to place it on the middle of our object. So we are going to click right click, and it will appear on the center of your object. Now let's try the proportional editing tool. You can enable it by pressing this button, or you can press O. It will be the shortcut for the proportional editing. When you use it, let's try selecting the edge loop of this one by pressing alternate and click at the edge. Now let's try scale it. You can see that when we scale it, we also scale the segment along with the middle one. That's what the proportional editing do. We edit it in proportion. The difference of not enable the proportional and enable proportional is here. If you disable the proportional editing tools and you scale, you will scale the object like this. But if you enable the proportional editing tool, it will scale your object in more smoother ways. I will say something like that. You have a lot of function in the proportional editing. You can proportional edit by using the sphere. It will make your object look more like a sphere shape pushing into it. This one is will make it look like root, which is it feel like it's got pinched into. This one inverse sphere is very similar to sphere. This one is sharp. It have the more pinching texture to the object. It's more sharp. It's more effective than the root one, but it have less smoothing on each segment. This one is will be linear, as it say, it's linear, so everything go to the linear line. This one constant, we not usually use this one, we can skip that. And random as it say, is random. You scale it, it's random you scale. Yeah. Okay, so for professional editing, you can use it on any manipulation. You can use it on scale. You can also use it on graph like this. Mostly it's on scale and graph. Okay, so that's it for the object manipulation. So let's go to the next one, which is the scaling for our design. As scaling is very important for environmental graphic design, let's try to make the square to match the exact requirement. Let's say we want to have a box of square that have height at 3 meter, length at 2 meter, and depth at 1 meter. We can add it by pressing Shift A, go to Cube, and here you can see that you can adjust the size of the cube. Let's adjust it on the another tab, which is the item tab or the transform tab that we have introduced to you before. Here you can see that you can change the dimension, so let's change it to match our requirement. We say that we want it to have the height at 3 meter. We try we type 3 on the z-axis. It will adjust the height of this cube. And then we want to have 2 meter for length. We keep that. And we want to have 1 meter for depth. We type 1 on the y-axis. Now we have the box that matches with our requirement. But when we sending the word to our professor, we also want to adding the scale into it. To do that, you will use the plugin that you have added into your Blender before, which is the Measure It plugin. Okay, so to use it, you have to use the selection mode or in the modeling mode. So you have to click to press tab to go into the modeling mode. And here you will use edge select and select the edge that you want to add the scale on it. The measure it tool will be in the view tab, and you can see that it's at the bottom of the panel. Here's if you want to measure the length of this part, you select this edge and press segment. It will add the measure on the model. To see that, you have to press this button, which is show. As you can see now, you see the length of your material, of your box, the height of your box, which is 3 meter. And if you want to measure the the length of your box, again you do the same. You select this edge, you press segment. You can see that it has 2 meter length and here 1 meter depth. And if you want to measure in the diagonal line, let's say from this vertex to this vertex, you can select this vertex and press shift to select another vertex, and then you press segment again. It will it will measure the this segment in the diagonal line between these two vertices, and we can see that it has length of 3.61 meter. Sometimes you want to work in the another type of unit, you can adjust it on this tab of measure it. You can see here's unit. Now is meter. If you change it to centimeter, it will change accordingly. Change to millimeter, change to feet, change to inch. You can choose by yourself. And if you want to have more precise scale, you can increase the decimal by adjust it here, the precise here, the precision here. Now it's at 2. If you increase it to 3, it will increase the decimal of the scale. You can increase it to 4, to 5, to 6, as you can see, it's increasing. But for now, we want to use only 2. Yeah. And also you can change the color of your line by changing the color here. You can change the color to pink, to red, to yellow, to black, any color you prefer for measurement. Yeah, that's it for the scale setup and measuring scale. To recap, you can adjust your scale by going to the item tab. Here, you can change the dimension to match with your preference. And then you go into the edit mode to select these segments and go to the wheel and press segment. The measuring tool will create the line and measure the length, the height for you in this case. And that's it for the measurement. Next, I am going to introduce you to the basic modeling. I am going to give you 2 examples. For the basic modeling part, I am going to show you how to modeling a pole and a square ball. So let's start with the pole. So as you think of pole, you think that it is a cylinder shape. So we are going to start modeling it with the shape of cylinder, which you can add it by press Shift and A. Okay. Press Shift and A here, and you can see that the cylinder is here. Add it into the scene. And here, what we are going to adjust is we are going to adjust the vertical to be lower because we do not need that high level of details. We can turn it down to maybe half of it. You can type slash 2 is will divide the number by 2. And here now is lower the details into a more desirable level for our modeling. And yeah, I think that should be work for the pole. To make a pole, the pole should not be that big. Now we have a cylinder shape that have width times length times height at 2 meter. So we are going to adjust it to be a lot more smaller. Start with the circumference of the pole. It should be smaller than this. So we are going to drag over X and Y axis and change it to only around 4 centimeter. Now it's in 2 meter, so for 4 centimeter it will be 0.04. And for the height, we are going to change it into 1 meter. Now you can see we have the smaller cylinder and it look a bit more longer than before because we have adjust the circumference and adjust the height. Now to make a tip of the poles, you can make it by using the extrude function. Here, you go into you go into the edit mode here, and you're going to extrude it from this side way because you want to have it like a circle around here, like a tip of the pole. To do that, you can do that by using the loop cut tool, by pressing Ctrl R for loop cut, and you drag the loop cut to be near around the top, and then left click to apply it. Now you are going to use the alternate button to select the face, so switch to face selection, and you click press Alt and then click on the edge of the loop when you want to select. In this case, we want to select this loop, so we have to press on this edge. It will select the loop around it. So in the last part, I suggest you that we are going to use E for extrude, but as you can see, when you extrude it this way, it will going something like this. Even you use extrude and then scale to help it still doesn't work. The way you can extrude the object outside of the face like this, you can do it by using the shortcut by selecting the loop cut first and then press shortcut alternate E. In here there are allow 6 options for extruding face. The option that we are going to use will be the face extrude along normal. When you click it will extrude the face along the side of it. So when you got the desirable length, then you click left click to apply. Now you can see we got the tip of the pole. And then we want to have like uh, a hole digging down in the middle. We can do that by uh, using extrude function. But I want the tip of the pole, the tip of my pole to look a bit uh, pull up. So I think I will use grab the acid and then grab it up a bit, something like this. And then I use inset, which is I, to insert the face and then extrude it inside, something like this. Now you can see we got the shape of the pole. Now let's go to the next example, which is a screw bolt. To do that, you have to think about the bolt first. When we think about the bowl, we would say that it looks like a hexagon shape, something like that. So we are going to create that shape. But as you can see, when we press Shift A, there are no hexagon shape in here. But there are the ways to bring it by using the different shape. In this case, we are going to use the circle shape here. And as I told you before, we can decrease the amount of vertical to lessen the details. And also, if we lessen the amount of vertical, you can see that we start to have some shape that look like hexagon here. Now, as we decrease the vertical to 8, you can see we got the hexagon out of the circle shape. Okay, now, so we apply it, we grab it to modeling, maybe around here, next to the pole, and we scale it down, maybe around 0.02. Let's go with 0.04 for this demonstration so you can see it more clearly. As you can see, we got the small shape, small hexagon shape. Now the bolt it must have the thickness and it must have it has the hole in it. So to do that, you need to go into the edit mode. And then what you are going to do is you are going to select this vertical and create face on it. To do that, you're doing by drag the selection box over it, or the other way is you use alternate function. It will select the loop for you. In this case, we only have one loop, which is this loop. When you click, press alternate and click on the edge, you can see that it select the edge for you. Okay, then you press F, which is stand for face. It will add face into it. Now we have the hexagon plane. What we are going to do next is we are going to add a thickness into it by using extrude. Now we extrude it up a bit like this. Now we are going to make a hole in the middle of it, but the bolt when it have hole, it have to have like there's some level of the something that bump up a bit. So we are going to bump it up a bit by using the inset and then grab it. To do that, we are going to select both uh, the face on the top and on the bottom. And we are going to press I for inset around something like this. I want it to go in more, so I adjust it a bit more by using scales and press Shift C, Shift Z. As when you press Shift Z, you can see that it will constrain the scale with only the X and Y axis without the effect of Z axis. This is how we can constrain it. And now we gonna drag it around here. After this, now we will pull it up a bit by pressing S, which is scale. Usually scale you will got something like this, but if we press C, which is our Z axis, you will see that it's constrained the scale to the Z axis. Now you can extrude it on the both sides evenly by using the scale function. Now we're gonna extrude allow here. Now we want to make the hole dig through this shape. To do that, we are going to delete the face first to open the hole. We can do that by pressing X and select delete face here. Or you can press delete button also and press delete face the same way as you press X. Now, as I have taught you about the extrude tool, some student might think, oh, I am going to pick this edge and then extrude it down, maybe something like this, and maybe let it match with the bottom. And now we got the hole for the bolt, but that's not how it works because the vertical is not connected with the other end. So the way we are going to connect it, we are going to connect it with the function called reach it loop. That function is to be in the is function at the top here. What we are going to do first is we are going to select the edge at the top and at the bottom like this, and then we press and we go to edge menu and click bridge edge loop here. When you click bridge edge loop here, it will bridge the edge loop for you, and now you have the hole for your bolt. Okay, there are some edge inside. I am going to create out because the last demonstration built it. Okay, delete the edge. Okay, it's undesirable if when you're making some shape and it has some like the vertical or some edge inside or some face inside the object because it will cause some error. If you see that, you can delete it like what I do. It clear the edge inside that we do not need because we are going to close this object. Okay, then we select the edge loop again, and Now we're going to breathe the edge loop again. Okay, now we got the shape of the bolt. But the bolt is doesn't look this sharp. The edge is too sharp here right now, so we are going to adjust the edge to be a bit more bevel or a bit more round. To do that, as I told you before, we have bevel function, but if you try it now and you go for bevel it, you can see that it's not bevel it correctly. The reason that it happened is because it's well based on the scales of your object right now. The scale of your object right now, if you check it on the item tab, you can see that the scale of your object is at 0.02 for x, 0.02 for y, and 0.2934 for z. The reason that the scale stayed like this because we have adjusted the the object from their original size when we add it into the scenes. The way we can reset the scale to 1 again, we can do that by press Ctrl A, which is the shortcut for apply function. We need to apply the scale first to tell the Blender that now this is the new original scale for it. Now the scale goes back into 1, 1, and 1. And now we're gonna try to bevel it again by selecting these two edges and press Ctrl B. Now we can bevel it correctly like the exact uh, bolt look like. We're gonna do it on the both side and maybe on the outside also something like this. And add some round edge allow the sharp edge by using bevel again. And we're gonna scroll up a bit, maybe add some level like two level bevel, something like this, and apply it. Now we got bolt and a pose here. Now, as we know how to basic modeling the object now, what we are going to teach you next will be how to add the color or material into your models. To do that, you are going to go to the shading mode here by pressing the menu on the top. When you go into the shading mode here, as you can see, we want to see the object in the way that it look more smoother and less sharp. To do that, we can change it by right click on the object, something like this. Right click on it and click shade smooth. We bring the cancel you back. Okay. You are going to click on the bolt here and right click to open the object menu, and then you are going to choose shade smooth. Now the shading of the object will look smoother and less sharp. This is the ideal way for our rendering. So always make sure when you finish modeling in the flat look, you always change it to smooth for rendering. We are going to do it for the same on the poles. And now we are going to add the color into this object. As we know that the bowl object has a metallic texture because it's aluminum. To do that, we are going to create the metallic texture by using the thing we call principal BDSF node. To do that, we are going to press new on here. It will add new material into this object. You can do it here also on this toolbar. You can press new here. When you press new on the toolbars, it will appear all these functions All these functions appear on the toolbar is come from this node which called principal BDSF. On principal BDSF, there are the parameter or each characteristic of the texture. For here, we are going to adjust the color first to maybe a bit grayish color, something like this. And then we are going to add uh, some metallic texture into it by increase the metallic value here to 1. 0 is mean is not it doesn't have any metallic surface on it, and 1 is the exact metallic. And if you go for the value in between, you can see it's as some like the slowly adding the texture of metal on it. And now it got something that look like the rough metal with the shiny effect on it to make it more clean and reflective and more smooth and more smooth. We can do that by decrease the roughness. When you increase roughness, you can see that the object will look more smoother and shinier and more reflective. As you can see, when you decrease it to 0, it will look like the surface of water because water doesn't have any roughness. And the clean metal has some roughness. So we are going to go for some value around like 0.1. For me, I think we'll increase it a bit to be 0.25. Okay, let's go with 0.2. Okay, that's good for metallic uh, texture. Now, let's try it on the pole. On the pole, let's say we want the pole to be look like a plastic material. So let's add the color into it first. Maybe we want it to be red color, something like this. And then to make it look like a smooth plastic, we are going to decrease the roughness of the object. Maybe it goes down something around like this. Now it looks like the plastic on the children playground that looks smooth and shiny. But in some case, you want it to be look more realistic. The plastic on the playground, they are actually have some roughness on it. So we're gonna have some roughness on it to be around 0.25. Now, in some case, you will see that the plastic in the real life, they have the look of a bit more shinier. The reason that it looks shinier, however, it looks rough, is because it have the coating on it. We can add the coating texture on the model also by go to the code menu on the material setting here. As you add the weight to 1, it means that it's covered with the coating and decrease the roughness to 0. Now it will look all shiny as it's covered with the 0 roughness coating on it. Okay, now as you can see, we have tried the the metal texture and the plastic texture. Now let's try the texture that look more organic, such as leather. For the leather material, let's try it on this shape, the cube shape. Okay, to demonstrate the texture for you, I am going to use some modifier to adjust the shape. I will teach you later about the modifier, but for now I will use it to create some quick round round square for the later material demonstration. Around here, apply the scale. No, thing around here. Okay, I have some segment into it and smooth it a bit. Okay, something like this and apply it. Okay, now we got a square, like a square couch to demonstrate the shape of the texture of the leather. We are going to add the material into it by pressing add material, add new materials. Maybe let's change the color to be something like look brown, like the vintage couch. Okay, now the organic object. Let's try putting your finger in front of some light source such as the flashlight. You will see that your fingers will will have some light scatter inside it. That is how I would say the skin of the living object works. So to do that, let's decrease the roughness first to make our letter look more smoother, maybe around 0.3. And if we want some light to go through this object, go inside this object to make it look more realistic, more like a letter in the real life. We are going to use this function, the subsurface. Subsurface is will allow the light to scatter inside the object like the real life skin. So we are going to increase the weight to 1, which we are going to tell it that use the subsurface function. And then we are going to adjust the scales of the subsurface to match with our object. So then let's check our object now. Our object have the dimension of around 0.2 or 0.08 or this thickness size. So for now it's set as 0.05. We can try increase to 0.1 or 0.5. I think 0.5. 0.05. I think it's the best one. But on this page, you cannot see the effect clearly, so I'm going to use the shade, shader menu to show you how the subsurface scatter working on your object. But I will teach you later about these four modes. For now, just focus on the basic modeling and basic texture first. So here, let me show you how it affects your object. Let's grab the light. Now focus as the light. If I decrease the subsurface value to 0, you can see that the light stuck on the surface. But when we increase the subsurface value to 1, the light spread into the object and scatter out. This is how the skin works in the real life, or the letter behave in the real life. Okay, now as you know how to uh, model the object by follow the basic modeling and knows how to making a material. The next part is I am going to tell you what you need to prepare for the next tutorials. For the next tutorials, I am going to teach you how to make a sign for your environmental graphic project by using the method I have taught you in this tutorial. So we are going to close the Blender for now. To save the file, you can save the file by going to File here, and then press Save As. And here you type the name that you want for your file and pick the location you want to save your file and then click Save. Yes, you save your file. And when you make any edit and you want to save your file again, you can press Ctrl S like you do on any other Adobe program that you use. Okay, now we save the file. Next, we are going to go to the Illustrator, as most of you will design the sign on the Illustrator, and for someone who design the sign on On the Procreate, I would suggest you to redo the sign on the Adobe Illustrator also because making the sign on the Illustrator is will make it will make your sign structure built based on the vector. And when it's built based on the vector, we can export it in the SVG type files, and we can use the vector data to generate the shape in Blender. Okay, so here let's start with, let's say this is your sign design for exit door. Now the sign is contain the line outside, something like this, and the text inside the icon and the directional pointer. What we are going to do is we are going to expand all of it into the vector, so we doesn't have the path data anymore. So we are going to drag selection all over the sign and go to Object, Expand, and OK, click OK. Now all the path will turn into the vector, as you can see. Next, we are going to make the sign to be uh, more easier to manage in Blender by eliminate any overlapping part of the sign, because now it's building based on like it have the white background as the layer at the bottom, and this one is in the front, this one is in front of the white. It's overlapping on each other, like we cutting and pasting the paper on it. we want we don't want to we don't want to have any overlapping, because it will cause a lot of headache when you import it into the Blender. So what we are going to do next is we are going to, let me show you here. We are going to first ungroup everything by drag the selection the over your sign, and then you press Alternate Shift D for ungroup each change. Okay, so as you press Alternate Shift and G, now you ungroup the object. What we are going to do next is we are going to select both the black part and white part. We are going to make a copy of the black part first by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl F to place it in front. And then we select the white part and use these two on the pathfinder to cut the white part out. Now it doesn't overlap anymore. We are going to do the same for the text and the icon inside also. So we are going to select the text, select the icon, select the pointer, copy it, press it in front. It has some overlap here also, so we are going to select the white part first, select the back part, and make a hole in it. Okay. Now we are going to select the font, the icon, the pointer, and then we copy it, press it in font, and then we press on the white part, and then we minus it out on the pathfinder tool, and now it have the hole in it, as you can see here. Now nothing is overlap on each other anymore. This is the final outcome for your sign to import it into Blender. Make sure you follow all the instructions that I told you how to prepare the file. So it will be more easier for you to using it in the Blender. Now we are going to export it into the type of the file we are going to use, which is SVG file. We are going to do that by press F and then go for export and export as. And here we are going to export it as SVG. So we go to save as type to change it to SVG here. And then we pick using the artboard and select the range, which is the pastry that I make, the logo that cut everything out already, and I replace export. And now here we have the other option like internal CSS, inline, presentation, attribute. What I have tried before, I think the inline style is the best solution and the best option for exporting the SVG for Blender. For now, let's click OK on it. Now we finish exporting the file. Let's go to see our file in here. Now you can see you got the SVG file. You can open it by using your web browser. Now you see the sign right here. This file is contain all the vector data that necessary for Blender to process the mesh out of it. And this is the final part of our first tutorial. Thank you and see you on the next part.